I was talking to Wes, and something that came up is he was just like talking like he's some hoodlum, strange little dirty talking guy, and I was just like, yeah, I don't always understand what you're saying, but it's just like I live here, so it's whatever, and just like if some of the time it's just like, yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, that's like going a good way, like that's great. Like, you know how amazing that is? Like, that's great. And I am just like, so having like a level of interest and care that people will still be able to come and like they'll discuss something and they'll take their time with it, and then they show attention, and then I'm just like, okay, now it's time for me to go somewhere. I gotta get out of the house. I gotta do some errands or some chores, or just like remove myself from the situation enough that I am actually being more myself, So I'm just like, if there's someone who is like throwing all this shade and all this sketchiness and all this, just like they want to be a part of what I'm talking about, and they will continue to ask what's going on with you, and I'm just like, there isn't like a whole ton of things that are going on. Like a lot of the things that like I've been like this for a couple years at least, that when I am trying to focus on like what it is that will give me a better benefit, then it's just like I am just like just a percentage of what I would be doing to work something off or to figure something out. And it's just like, so call that hope, call that faith, call that redemption, whatever you want to say about it. I still have like room for other people in my mindset. I still have understanding for the ones of the next generation. And I'm just like, that's like, we could talk about so many great things that are happening with that, and like how it would be like so cool to know that there would be people coming after us that would help us like fix what may have been like a little bit distraught or a little bit stressful or a little bit like you really have to be careful with the situation, and you have to like take all that attention and like really like put it as like a burden for someone to sort through this like non-descriptive pile. And I'm saying that as like there are things that happened in the past for us, like in the older generations, that it's just like I have this still where I'm taking my time to be able to sort through like what is it that is really going to be the point. That's what they keep talking about, and I'm just thinking about that as like needs, and then just like wishes, and then wants. And it's just like if they really get themselves comfortable with like, we've made this whole thing of like law of attraction and vibing and frequency and meditation. We've even gone as far to say mindfulness, which is not really like a necessary thing. It's just something that it's like if you put so much into your recovery, then it makes it so that maybe you can have a moment where you can stay where you're at enough that like what is reflected back to you becomes more of a solid imagination. And that, and I'm just like, yeah, we have like this whole collection of ideas and thoughts that if we were to go as far as to say that it has to be part of mindfulness, like I'm really just saying like that's kind of like having like work be your alcohol, work be your drinking. And I'm like, I'm not a drinker of alcohol because I have antipsychotic medication to deal with when the older generations put uh, systematic problems in there for me, where it was just like, I say it's systematic because it's just like, it was related to people that I was living with. And that relation was just like, it was like people talk about being in a bad place. And I hear these complaints and I hear these like issues where people get stressed, and it's still like, so if there's like time and room for us to make enough energy, like that is like one of the most simple alchemist, uh, scientifically, medically supported ideas of like, I'm just thinking like, we are dismissing having so much credit on what our inventions are. And that's just something that we agreed to do because we were like, we have to like be compassionate and loyal to the people who are taking it in this direction where they are like, yeah, and we'll just like help support the family, help support the planet. I'm just like, you guys taking on so much, right? Um, and just to have that reminder that this idea of going to the next generation came from like the 80s, it came from like the early 90s, and it's like the guys who were making their houses and their vehicles and their ways to get to their job, like they just like really had, this is an investment, means that this is something that will be still recognized to the children, to the brothers and sisters of the congregation. And I spent so much time away from the flock that I was asked at like the edge of the crowds where people were gathering to listen to Christ. And they were telling me that I've made achievements, and that there is a neutrality amongst us that makes it so that we don't even have to focus solely on what is positive and what is true and what is right. That the negativity that we try to get away from, it's really just like put into this context where we are putting it away. Everything is still building, everything is still coming in the past, and the way people say, I'm going their way, or I'm going my way, I'm going in our way. And it's just like their way is so under construction and under all of these influences. It's just like, that's like the message of the systematic like temple. Like it's just like, yeah, so what I come to walk on that path of their way, and I'm still me. I still have who I am. Like all these definitions and all these things that were told to me would make me more sure of myself and more glowy. Like I'm just like, yeah, just like all these sparkles, all these like hearts, and it's just like, yeah. So I'm recognized as like this cutesy, smart, like this individual who has so few goals left to make from a dream. that I'm able to wake up, and when I travel along the way, I am helping other people find their joy and find their peace. And I'm just like, okay, so protective of that. Uh, I'm still trying to find the pieces to feel like I'm not so far from love. And that I'm just like, if I talk about like what's coming together and like what's being prepared, like there are still groups of people who live here who would pose that as something that they skip or miss. And I'm just like, I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying. It's like what I would tell to the counselors, right? And then I am like, while I'm keeping an appetite for this, and I say that I want to be a part of this world just as much as I put my effort in, then I get it. You know, I have what started as a journey can become something of a destination. And that's the destination seems just like such like a spiritual, like frequency minded word. But it's just that I have kind of like a lily pad if I were like training horses on how to reach the hay while taking the time to show them how to jump fences. Like, and they're still in the beauty contest, so I am still like really grooming them and really looking at how much I can prove that they have this happiness and this. Oh, did I say that H word happiness? Did I just say that? Yeah, so it's just like these things, like I said, will tell our stories, you know?